There's one public comment from someone who does not wish to speak that will be entered into the record.
All right, do we have any discussion from the board?
I don't know, I sort of like the idea of just not having any.
That is one of the options that we looked at.
I like the first part of it. I think I think that needs to be made clear because it says created by an employee, then there's some sort of procedure for approving the displays. I'm just not so sure about the rest of it, what it really adds to sort of the general language that's already there. In fact, it seems like we repeat some of the general language anyway within the amendments to it. I don't know whether that's necessarily a criticism or a comment, just a thought on it. I know what the rest of the board thinks. I understand. I apologize for missing the meetings where this was discussed, but sometimes you can try to do more, but less is better. But
Well, considering that the previous section 205, Part A, number 2, had three bullets, 3 bullet items, this is much expanded.
I guess I could point out that the Library Board of Control Rules and Regulations, it is very much a living document. We update it frequently. So if there are further updates to be made, we can certainly tighten things up.
Well, I have a comment on D, a part of that says all viewpoints on a given subject where appropriate. Now, I like the idea of where appropriate because feelings or comments about some subjects may spur hatred. And so the group reviewing this, in my mind, I'm thinking, if the comments or the viewpoints reflect an attitude of hatred, injustice, or intolerance, then I would consider those attitudes not appropriate. So I would say that those comments on that particular subject would not be a part of the display.
Are there any more comments from the board?
There are displays, Kelly, in the library of new material that comes in, correct?
Yes, the new materials displays, they're not curated anyway. They're just the items that have been purchased, newly purchased.
And are those purchased for certain, like holidays or things that are happening or on the calendar or?
No, I don't believe that the purchases in general follow a calendar. We approximately 36% is what people.
Well, about a third is from public requests. As far as holidays goes, at least I can speak for when I was purchasing juvenile material. Usually about 4 months before the holiday, I would kind of look to see what new books were published on those holidays. And so I would place an order, what are the new books, the new Halloween books? But there's no set schedule. It was just sort of, oh, I should probably order new Halloween books, replaced favorites.
I would say if it's not something that a patron is requesting, it's what is being published that's new. We get the catalogs of new materials that are coming out, and, it's what's available.
And all branches display the new materials prominently?
No,
walk in?
not every branch has space for displays. So when you talk about one of our small branches, they may only have space for just a couple of the new books. And so you could go to Slidell and they may have all of the books that have come in the last month on display because they have a little more room. Lacombe may be displaying what they received this week because they don't have the room to have a large display area.
And so in the smaller branches, do they also abide by that same space issue with the displays that we're talking about for
Yes.
materials to be displayed?
Absolutely. They have limited space, so some of them don't have any display furniture at all. They're using the top of a shelf, and there's just not a whole lot of room there. So our larger branches are able to accommodate displays in a way that our small branches are not.
Any more discussion among the board? If not, then someone would offer a motion to approve in a second.
Do we have to, since we met on this and presented it, do we have to vote on it as submitted, or can there be revisions to it before we take a vote on it? Or,
I think Emily
would
have to answer that.
The board can amend the policy as presented.
I think if that's the will of the board, then we need to table it for a future meeting where the committee can gather together and work over any possible changes, honestly. So we would need a motion then, if that's the pleasure of the board, we would need a motion to table it in a second. Is that correct, Emily?
I make the motion to table it and give it more consideration.
second?
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Renaud and seconded by Ms. Shaw.
Is that a 1-month postponement?
Well, can we take it up at our next rules and regulation meeting?
I believe our meeting is
It's May 22nd.
May 22nd?
May 22nd is our next regular meeting.
No, I
Of
mean,
the
the
Library
rules and
Board of
the rules and regulations. Ms. Ann, are you talking about the rules and regulations meeting or the next board meeting?
Well, wouldn't this fall under the rules and regulations?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. The,
I think it's May 16th, it's the next
Yeah, I
Rules and
have it.
Regulation Committee meeting, which would
Yes.
allow time for that committee to give any revised text to the board prior to its May 22nd regular meeting.
yes.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to table changes to this section 205 and take up at a future library board meeting. About for 1 month. So Ms. Renaud made the motion and Ms. Shaw seconded. So, and we'll have a roll call vote.
Jake Airy. Carmen Butler. Mary Renaud. Ann Shaw.
Yes.
Rebecca Taylor.
Yes. All right, we'll move on